are starting. Good evening, good evening. This is your Coach Renz. We are starting tonight. We are starting. What I look forward to as being a very good show. Okay. Trying to get the blog talk part going. Messing that up real good. So we're going to get that one going as well. So if you're on Blog Talk Radio, if you're waiting for the show there, we are clicking around to get that going. Get the um, Facebook show going as well. Good evening. Good evening. We are going to be talking about the Hebrew Israelites and not so much about their doctrine, although we will talk to some degree about their doctrine, but for the most part, we are going to be talking about why black men are headed in that direction, why they are joining the Hebrew Israelites. Uh, just getting a few things. All right. We're getting the blog talk part going. So if you're watching this on Blog Talk Radio at the same time, we're going to have some conversation greetings. When you come in, just go ahead and let me know where you are. Let me know where you are. Uh, if we're having any problems with the audio, anything like that, let me know that.
Now, press 1. To hear important instructions, press 2. To speak to customer service, press 3.
We are just messing up the we're still getting used to the blog talk radio portion of this one.
To start your show now, press 1. To hear important instructions, press 2. To speak to customer service, press 3.
I'm pressing the buttons. Michigan and everything is great on my end. I hope you stay warm up there in Michigan.
To start your show now, press 1. To hear important instructions, press 2. To speak to customer service, press 3.
Oh, there we go. Still getting used to the blog talk radio station. We're gonna have that one down packed real soon, though. Real soon, we'll get that one. One
Start
true.
your show now, press 1. To hear
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Finally, I figured out how to go live on the Blog Talk Radio. I finally figured out how to get live on this Blog Talk Radio portion. So we're going to be building our show based on Blog Talk Radio so that we can not be able to have guests who can call in, that sort of thing, as well as on our YouTube Live and our Facebook Live. We're going to have those as well. How you doing, Coach? How you doing, LaDon, April, everybody? Glad to see you guys. We're going to go ahead and get this show started. I was trying to use 2 laptops and the phone, but that didn't quite work out. So I'll be looking top, bottom, but not so much to the right. So let me give you guys a little background on what piqued my interest as far as us talking about the Hebrew Israelites. That came about, as some of you may know, some of you may know, I was in New Orleans. I was in Biloxi, Mississippi with my brother and sister and my cousin over the weekend. And I took a little short trip down to New Orleans. Now, I had noticed prior to going to New Orleans that here in Atlanta, I started seeing a lot of the Hebrew Israelites out in their purple garb, out, visible, preaching on a street corner, trying to build up their, trying to teach their message and build up their numbers. So I saw that. But when I went to New Orleans, I saw it on a whole nother scale. Down in New Orleans, on Canal Street, they took up probably about 4 or 5 different blocks. Well, about 4 or 5 different blocks, you had the Hebrew Israelite guys out there preaching their message, screaming it out on the megaphone, recording, doing what they do, what you've seen them do. And, one of the gentlemen, he looked at me and as if he was trying to invite me over. I kind of smiled at him and just shook my head because that wouldn't have been a good thing for me to go up, right? To go up to the Hebrew Israelite guys and have a conversation. That's just not going to work. I'm having some herbal tea. Oh, cool. We got somebody from South Africa. Man, it's 4:09 a.m. and you watching. I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate that. So, and go ahead and share this show. Share the show, please, please, please share the show. So, I'm down in New Orleans. I see all these guys, doing their thing, and I started thinking about it. Now, although I disagree vehemently with their message, what intrigued me is the number of gentlemen that I saw interested. The number of people who stopped. Other people, of course, were recording because especially a lot of white people were recording because they've never seen these brothers out here in these purple, and I'm not trying to be mean, but seeing these brothers in these purple Power Ranger outfits standing out there, pontificating about how they are the chosen ones, the lost tribe of Israel, and that they are true Israelites. So I already knew their doctrine a bit. I know enough of their doctrine that it's not something that I give much attention to. I've spoken about it a few times on a few videos, but I was just noticing that black guys were stopping. Right? That black guys were stopping. Papa says they're documenting foolishness. Please, add your comments on both Facebook and YouTube. And if you super chat this YouTube channel, I appreciate that as well. So I'm watching, I'm seeing them, and I started thinking, putting a couple of things together. And what it reminded me of, and what I was thinking about, is like, why are all these black guys joining it? Now, the first simple answer took me back to the mid 1900s, right around that civil rights era. But before I go there, I wanted to give you guys a little bit more background on. So I went and did a little bit of research, just a little bit, not too much, of when the Black Hebrew Israelites started. You got to first, around 1889, is when you legitimately had the first setup, the first church, if you will, of the Hebrew Israelite got set up around in 1889. So this is not too far off of the Civil War. And that's very important. And then from there is really not a whole lot about them until you get to around 1966. Well, okay. Peace. It has been a while. We're going to make this every Tuesday, guys. I've rearranged my schedule to make this every Tuesday. We're talking about the alchemy of life. We're going to be talking about sex, love, money, politics, spirituality, the whole deal. So around 1966 is when they really started doing the whole black empowerment, growth, that time frame, civil rights. That's when they really started gaining a little bit more prestige, but they were overshadowed, and that overshadowing is something that we're going to go deep in detail about. But they were overshadowed in the 1960s, but then they've had a resurgence over these last like 10, 15 years. Over the last 10, 15 years, they've had a resurgence, and I believe mainly they've had a resurgence because they don't have competition for their type of message and what they're actually offering that's attracting black men, and that's what we're going to get deeper into. So if you go from this, so let's go from let's time jump the periods. So in 1889, when the first gentleman, and because my other computer's not up right now, I don't have everybody's name listed, so excuse me for not having any names. But when the first gentleman started in 1889, one of the things about it, he was trying to take black people who were coming out of slavery and telling them that they were indigenous to America, and there's an argument that can be made for black people already being here in America before Columbus and any other European came. But as far as being indigenous, as I said on my other video, no person, no human, no being is indigenous truly to America. All came here at one point or another, whether it's through the Bering Straits or whether it's through sea voyage, or at one point or another somebody came to America from the continent, from Africa. So, or from actually there's evidence of Asian Pacific people coming over to South America, during before pre-Columbian days. So somebody came here to America. So in 1889, you have this gentleman who's teaching that the plight of the black man in Africa and in America was foretold in the Bible, is based on Deuteronomy 28, and he's telling this story. It gains a little bit of ground, but not too much ground, because at that time frame, most black people in America were heavily influenced and heavily devoted to Christianity. Christianity was the religion. If it wasn't like today. In today's world, if you profess a different religion, you may get some comments, you may get some looks. But in those days, you would be completely ostracized from the community. You had to be one form of Christian or another. And of course, during that time frame, black people felt like Christianity took them out of slavery. That was their deliverance out of slavery, and that their faithfulness in Christianity is what brought them there. So you had a lot of people still caught up in that. So he didn't quite gain the amount of momentum as he may have thought he would gain during that time frame. So, and do me a favor on the YouTube page, please share this to some of the other groups that I know you guys are part of. So he didn't gain the amount of push. So then we jump to the 1960s. In the 1960s, what you have is two gentlemen, roughly, basically. One in Chicago, and I believe the other one was in North Carolina somewhere, North Carolina, Tennessee, somewhere like that. They start teaching the Hebrew Israelite message. But this time it's a little bit different. This time it's centered around black nationalism, because that was the motif of the day. It was black nationalism. The only problem is, for the Hebrew Israelite, you have Dr. King on one side, black nationalism through Christianity. You have the Black Panthers on another side, nationalism through black unity and control of the actual community. And then you had Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm X on the other side with the Nation of Islam, black empowerment through Islam and community. So, and not to say that Dr. King wasn't through community either he was. So all three of these powers, with the SCLCU, the NAACP, all these organizations were gearing for placement to fight for black nationalism, to fight for civil rights for African Americans. They were all going that route. The problem is, just like in business, you're only going to have three national companies that are doing the most business and in the most places. Regionally, you'll have three, and locally, you'll have three. So, Tara from New Orleans, how you doing? Yeah, give me that order. So, you'll have three. So we got the Black Panthers, we got the Nation of Islam, and we got Dr. King's SCLCU. There wasn't room for the Hebrew Israelites to really grow. It's kind of like if you go on a street corner, if you see a McDonald's, a Burger King, and a Wendy's, and somebody's trying to put up a Sonic's or Arby's or something like that, that fourth one is either going to die or it's going to take over from one or the other. So over a 5 to 7 year period, you'll see one of them more than likely disappear unless they got huge financial backing and they're just taking a loss for tax purposes. But generally, that's what you see. You see only three. Only three. Just like there are 3 major grocery stores in any area, 3 major drug stores in any area. You're only going to see 3. So the Hebrew Israelites weren't really winning. So about 30 of them actually moved to Israel. And the leader, one of those leaders, just passed away in 2014, just transitioned. So they really didn't gain any ground during that time frame. So what's different today? What's going on today? Well, what we see in the black community today is that we see black men in Christianity is dwindling. Black men in Islam, it's also dwindling. Black men are growing in the conscious community, but they're also growing in the Hebrew Israelite community. But why is it that they're growing in this Hebrew Israelite community and not as much in the conscious community? Because I will say, based on what I've seen, and I could be wrong, but based on what I've seen, there's more joining the Hebrew Israelite movement than are joining the conscious community and who are joining traditional religions. So let's break it down as to why. And there's more and they're not joining, black men aren't joining the Buddhist movement, and black men aren't joining the Hindu movement. So why? Why aren't they joining these philosophies, right? Because they still had Jesus with the Hebrews. That is one thing that we will get to, DJ. They still have Jesus with the Hebrews. So let's take it pace by pace. Let's look at this from a psychological point and an economical point and a community point. The Hebrew Israelites remind me of a gang. They remind me of the gangs, and I'm not saying that they are violent as a gang, even though a lot of their rhetoric is very, very prejudiced and racist, and does talk about violence towards white people. But let's look at this as why is it attracting black men, because it's not the component of violence that's attracting black men. Although, and we'll go ahead and jump this part right here, there is a component of a group of black men standing out there yelling at white people, telling them that they will be put under the heel of black men, telling them that white men will be taking their daughters, and I've even heard some say that black men will be raping their daughters, and that they will be able to murder them, and these sorts of things. I have heard some of the ones up in New York and New Jersey with this type of rhetoric. I've seen that. I've seen that. And Queen T said, because the Hebrew Israelites are alpha men and black men are drawn to it due to having power. We're going to get to that aspect of it. Actually, I'm going to talk a little bit about that right now. I'm not going to quite agree with you that they are alpha men, because I've seen enough videos to show that when it comes to a true discussion, many of them run. Many of them flee. They're quick to call you a scoffer and run off instead of actually engaging in intelligent debate. And they are very covetous of their people. And the way they treat their women would preclude them from ever being an alpha man. No man who treats their women the way that they do will ever be considered an alpha man, right? But the perception of an alpha man physically, Queen T, I agree. It is the perception. And that's where we talk about the gang mentality, in a sense. They have that gang mentality in one. Black men in America have been disenfranchised a lot away from the family unit. Many of us have grown up, and those who are in their 20s and 30s are growing up in homes that do not have a father, in environments that do not have an uncle or an older cousin or a grandfather. They are missing those male role models that are personifying a man that takes care of his family, a man that takes care of his home, a man that protects, a man that makes his way to provide for his family. They are growing up in environments where they're not seeing this as much. The community that I grew up in, even though my father wasn't there, I had my grandfather and I had uncles, and you had Mr. Man across the street at his store, and you had Mr. Charles at his store on the other side of town. You had the different ministers who were good men. They were ministers, but they were good men. You had many role models around you. You had male principals, football coaches. I grew up with a lot of men around me, not necessarily my dad, but I had them in my household. I had my grandfather, and then I had other men. And when my grandfather transitioned, I had who became my father-in-law. I had him in my life at a young age. So I always had male role models around me. And the Hebrew Israelites present that. This is why many young men join gangs, because they don't have these male role models around me, and so they reach out for another man. And when they see black men standing on the corner, pontificate, a group of black men bonded together, and this is why a lot of black men join frats and fraternities, because it's a group of black men bonded together, and even though they may know and that what they're saying, that what they're claiming may not be true, that they may know that they should go and study, they won't do it because they know if they did, they may lose that bond of other men. And that's one thing that they've been missing in their life. All right? One person said that Jason Holmes said that Hebrew Israelites and Aboriginal are the fastest growing movement among black men, and what I see Islam is the fastest growing religion amongst people in general. Islam is growing faster. Islam is growing faster because of childbirth. Childbirth in Islam is growing faster than any other religion. So childbirth is the main reason why Islam is growing. It's not because they're winning people over through intelligence or through study or anything like that. It's through childbirth. If you look at the childbirth rates in Islamic countries, you'll see that difference is there. All right, but so that mentality of when I was growing up, young men joined the Bloods and the Crips, and they joined all these gangs because they didn't have that black community around them of men. So one of the reasons, and there are many reasons why a person would join, black men are joining this group, but one of those reasons they're joining this group is because some of them are reaching out for, they're 20 years old and they want to be in a group of black men, and that's what they see. They see a group of black men bonded together. They hear what they're saying, and regardless of what they hear, they see a group of black men who are bonded together. They see a group of black men who are organized to a certain degree. And because they're organized to this certain degree, it shows, for them, it's showing some level of unity. So when I say it's comparative to a gang, that's how gangs work. Gangs are able to grab these young men because they're showing them, they're saying that we are men and we're bringing you in as a young man, as a brother, as a son. And they join in. That's why in the gang community, they're quick to call an older guy like my age uncle, and they call an older guy pops, because they are looking for these male role models, right? And because of that, that's what we get. That's what we get. And a lot of these guys, they're not thinking through this obligation. They're not thinking through what's being said to them, what they're being taught. They're really just not. They're just saying, I see a group of men and I want to be a part of that. And I'm missing that in my life. So that's one reason why they're joining. The fact that they're organized to the degree that when I was in New Orleans over the weekend, I'm going to roughly estimate about 60 or 70 of them were out there. When you see 60 or 70 people out there doing the same thing, speaking the same thing, dressed the same way, it gives the appearance of organization. So they are there, they see that organization, and they want to be a part of something that's organized. It looks legit because it's organized. It looks legit because other people are in agreement of it. And it's just like Hitler said, if you tell a lie long enough, loud enough, and bold enough, it becomes truth. So as long as they're out there saying it loud enough, long enough, it will become true to them. They just believe it. I've watched them many times, watched many videos, and I've just seen them throughout Atlanta. They're on those college campuses. Why are they in and around the college campus in Atlanta and the predominantly black college campus? Because they know that they have fertile ground there. And these young men are looking for something. They're looking for that organization. They're looking for that group. Now, one guy, King XL, says that they're waking our people up. We're going to disagree when we get into the context of their speech, that they're not waking up people. They're actually, you know what, let's go ahead and go there right now. Here's another reason why they are growing. This is another reason why they are growing. They claim that black people are one of or is the lost tribe of Israel, and that the Bible prophesies that in Deuteronomy 28 that we will be sold in slavery, sailed away in ships to Egypt, and we will forget who we are, lose our identity, and all of that sort of thing. Now, here's the before I tell you why that's wrong, let me tell you why it's appealing to all these black men. Most of these black men are either coming out of Christianity or Islam, right? Now, when you're coming out of Christianity and Islam, you actually follow the Deuteronomy text. You follow the Pentateuch, the first 5 books of the Bible, of the Christian Bible, the Jewish Torah. You follow those first 5 things. Now, the problem with that, well, here's what's appealing to them, is that they see this text, they're familiar with it, because it's what they grew up with in Christianity. So when you want to change people, it is harder to make a person do a 180-degree turn than it is to get a person to just do a 35% turn. That's all you need, a 35% turn. When people like Jim Jones, when he wanted to start his cult, all he had to do was make it a slight variation from Christianity. The guy in Waco, Texas, make it a slight variation in Christianity to make himself out to be Jesus. The guy who's in, I think he's in Siam right now, or Taiwan, making himself out to be the return of Jesus. Slight 35-degree turn in the text, in the understanding, in the teaching. And then people will turn. It's easy. If you're trying to get people, one of the difficulties that the Nation of Islam had is that they were trying to get people to go from Christianity to Islam, right? But what made it a little bit easier for people is that it had the Old Testament component so they can identify with it. There was something they already knew. Much also the fact that they were talking back to white people, the fact that they were engaging physically in front of white people, and that they were building community, that made it also appealing. But for right now, this message of the Hebrew Israelite is just a slight turn. It's what you do if you want to start a cult. You do a slight variation of change. But here's the problem with Deuteronomy 28. If you saw one of my other recent videos, and I want you to go do the research on this, because don't just take my word for it. Unlike the people who stand on there in their purple suits, I'm not going to pontificate something to you and then just expect you to believe it. Go research it. But the first stop is that this Deuteronomy 28 read completely different in the Septuagint, which was what King James used in order to write his version of the Bible. Now understand, King James wasn't the only one who wrote that version. The Jesuits wrote it as well. The last time I ever spoke to a Hebrew Israelite, the first question I asked myself, well, what Bible are you using? What version? Right? You got to start there. What version? And he pulled up a New Living Translation. I said, okay, so that's broken down from the King James Version, which the King James Version, I never said King James wrote the Bible. What I said was the authorized King James Version, and you have the King James Version. King James didn't write it. He had 54 scribes that helped him do it. But you have to understand that the first King James that everybody is reading from is the King James that was written by the Jesuits after the gunpowder assassination failed. The gunpowder assassination is when the Jesuits, under the power of the Pope, said, yeah, I'm going to get to that part too, Queen T. Under the power of the Pope, he said that we can't let James transcribe his own Bible, translate his own Bible, because if he does, then we lose power over England. That's what his grandfather, King Henry VIII, tried, and we got to stop that nonsense. So they tried to kill him. But when they failed to kill him, they said, well, what we'll do is we'll get our own version out. We'll get our own King James Version out. This is why you have an authorized King James Version and you have the King James Version. But most of your Bibles today are translated from the King James Version, not that. Yeah, I'm talking about Deuteronomy 28. Just hold on. So, the gunpowder assassination failed. So when you're talking to them, if they're not talking about the authorized King James Version, then first of all, they're talking about a Catholic Bible. If they're not talking about the authorized King James. Now, even if they're talking about the authorized King James, you're talking about a book that was written during the time of slavery, which is why Deuteronomy 28 was changed to say that they would sail away on ships. You see, if you study beyond what they're standing out there yelling over a microphone, or what they've handed to you as a child, your parents gave you as a Bible, or the church gives you as a Bible, or what people just accept today as the unerred word of God, if you go beyond that and actually read the Septuagint, which came before the King James Version, you will see that all it says in Deuteronomy 28 is that children will be disobedient and they will be punished for their disobedience. And it said children. It said nothing about ships. It said nothing about going away to Egypt and none of those kinds of things, right? It says nothing. And see, here's the thing. I got somebody on the YouTube version. Prove and read your version of Deuteronomy 28:26. Read the Septuagint. It came before King James. See, if you just start in English, do you really believe the Bible was written in English, in Old English? Do you really believe that? Do you think it was written in American English? I mean, if you seriously believe that, then you already have a problem. You've already lost if you believe that it was written in English, if all your proof begins in English. But even better, let's go back farther. The Torah, the Pentateuch, it's a combination of 4 texts. J text, Judas text, the Judah text, not Judas, Judah, the Judah text. E text, the Elohim text. P text, the priestly text, and D text, the Deuteronomist text. Right? Right. The Septuagint is in Greek. And Greek came before English. So you want to look at that book, go to the Greek first, and then you can go to, but we got those different texts. Now, since their main thing harbors in the D text, the Deuteronomist text, when you go back and you get the D text translated, that verse in Deuteronomy 28 does not exist. The actual people, they claim to be the descendants of these Israelites. But those Israelites back in 1200, well, the D text was actually written around 700 BCE. Around 700 BCE, did not write it. And see, here we go. It is in the Dead Sea Scrolls. The Dead Sea Scrolls were written in AD time frame. The D text is written in BCE time frame. The D text does not have this part of Deuteronomy to which they gravitate towards. So they count on people not being able or being willing, actually it's willing, they count on the unwillingness of people to not go and do this research, to not go and say, well, since we know English is a new language, what did it say before English, right? What did it say before English? Since they say, where are these, where's this information, right? And of course, all they do is get mad then. They just get mad and they start yelling, and that's all they can do. I actually saw a video where a young man was showing them information, telling them information, and they tried to fight the young man. They physically wanted to harm this young man because he disagreed with them and was giving them historical information instead of them saying, you know what, I'm going to go look it up. Instead of that, no, I'm just going to keep reading from this book. Now, why are they so attracted? Why do they attract other black men? Because they know you're not going to read it. You're not going to study, right? You're not going to study. They know you're not going to do it. And they count on it. Because they're counting on you wanting that familiarity of being with a group of black men who aren't afraid to stand on the street and yell at white people and yell out loud, who are not embarrassed standing out there in their outfits, and then they just have their little smart comments, Now, if anybody knows me, they know I'll tell you, go research things for yourself. Don't take what I say, go research it. It is not for me to prove a dang thing to you. It's for you to go research it for yourself. Now, if you're unwilling to go research it, that's on you. Can't help you. So later on, when people rewatch this, later on, if you're going to write 50-11 comments in it, because I've seen how these brothers go out and they try to attack anybody who goes against their message, it doesn't bother me. I ignore the hell out of it. But right now, the one guy's providing good entertainment as far as him just saying, prove it. Dude, I'm on a computer. What are you talking about? But here's another aspect. Why is it so attractive to a lot of black men? This is horrible, and I don't think many people would actually think about this as why it would be attractive to black men. Like I said earlier, black men have been disenfranchised from their black families. Black men have been pushed out of the family home. We know that programs like the welfare system says that if a woman has a child with a black man, if the black man is living in the house, then she can't get her food stamps or any other kind of assistance. So what do? They push out the black man. Now, the program that Ronald Reagan set up says that if you have a minority, affirmative action says that if you have a minority, if you have a woman, and then your company needs to have a certain number, have those quota laws. What does the black woman gain in that? Well, she's a woman and she's a minority. That's a twofer. So black women got to push like nobody's business through the 80s and the 90s to go to college, to get into the corporate jobs and that sort of thing. So black women began to outpace black men in college. Black women also began to outpace the black man financially and in position. So because of this, black men are being left out, right? They're being left out. So the black man is being pushed away and pushed out of the black family. What this group offers is an opportunity for a black man to stand proud for whatever reason. Doesn't really matter. Just a moment to stand proud. A moment to not look as bad as what the situation is. Right? So when they do that, they join these organizations that gives them that opportunity to look like a man. Because like Queen T said, they give off the personification of an alpha man. And as I said in many videos, an alpha man is more than just somebody who has masculinity, but has a good balance between the two. So between their masculine and their feminine energies. Like I'm in another group where they constantly talks about black men being providers. Well, be a provider, but in today's world, oftentimes it's not unlikely, it's not unheard of for the woman to make just as much money or more money than the black man. A good provider, sure, but also be a good protector. Can you set up a situation that protects the family's investment, protect the family's house, can do all these things? But this organization provides black men who feel disenfranchised from the black woman an opportunity to do that. And one of the other parts of it is that they dehumanize the black woman. They push the black woman down. They want the black woman to be super subservient to them. Not a partner, not someone of equal standard and stature, but to be subservient to them. And when you take your woman, when you take the woman in a culture and make her subservient, put her down almost as cattle or as a child, then you are eliminating the biggest part of your being. You're eliminating the biggest function of your family's growth and development. So when you do that, you're losing it. But they don't care because these black men feel enfranchised. You hear black men saying, oh, this with black women too got too much of a chip on their shoulder, too argumentative. All these different rationales and reasons. But the black woman has been, I'm going to say the black woman has been tricked into pushing the black man away. Black woman has been tricked into thinking that a black man needs, if he's not providing at this level, then he's not a good man. And I understand that women want security. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have that. But we've lost that thing where in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, where it was teamwork. I hate that little saying that teamwork makes the dream work. But only because it's been overused way too much. But we've lost that idea of the teamwork mentality between the black father and the black mother, the black man and the black woman. We come into a competition with one another instead of being on team with one another. See, we've lost that aspect of it. We've lost the fact that back in our true ancestral day, it was the priest and the priestess, the regent and the co-regent, that they did things together equally, of equal power and equal stature, each one doing what's best, fulfilling their roles for their strengths, not competing against one another. But in this organization, it makes a black man feel stronger based on a Western mindset that he's over the woman, that he lords over the woman. And that is appealing in this Western mindset of man. So a lot of them join it for that cause, for that reason, right? And that's another trick. That's a trick that they use. So that's another reason. So what do we cover so far? We've covered the fact that they join because it has a familiarity. We've also covered that they join because of the disenfranchisement of black men towards a black woman and also towards community. Another aspect of why they join this organization is because it justifies in their mind slavery, right? It justifies slavery. Their biggest verse, the biggest dang on verse that they hold on to is that one in Deuteronomy about sailing away on some ships. This justifies their slavery, their situation of slavery, that the African in America, the slavery. Now, some of them, depending upon which group you're talking about, they'll talk about how black people were indigenous to America. They were already here. And it is true that the first people that were here, they were melanated people. They were people of color. That some of the documentation of the Europeans show that they brought slaves from America to Europe, and they were of dark skin. So I won't deny that black people were already here, but I'm not denying the transatlantic slave trade either, because the transatlantic slave trade happened. To say that, to try to make it seem like every black person in America is part of the indigenous group that were already here is disrespectful to those who went through, our ancestors who went through that hell of the transatlantic slave trade. Those who, once a lot of the African rulers realized what was going on with this transatlantic slave trade, tried to then fight the Dutch and the English and the Spanish, wound up being enslaved themselves or colonized. So I won't give disrespect to what any of our ancestors did, whether they were already here, whether they sailed across over here, or whether they were on the continent. You know, they all deserve our respect. But this excuses a mentality, a question that I used to ask when I was a kid. I used to ask my parents. Now, I used to ask them plenty of questions, but one of the questions I used to ask them was, why didn't our ancestors fight when they would fight for their freedom here? Not just the ones that participated in the Civil War. Why weren't there constant revolts? Not just the to and fro revolts on ships, the revolts of Nat Turner. Not just those revolts, but massively organized, fight their own war to end their own slavery. Where was that fight? And I've encountered many Africans who had that issue with black people in America, like, why didn't y'all fight for y'all freedom? And I understand the thought process. And when a group comes along who tells you that, well, we were supposed to be there because our ancestors were disobedient to God, even though that book says that no longer will the sins of the father be carried over to the sons. It eliminates that, and I believe it's in Isaiah that it eliminates that. It's either Isaiah or Ezekiel where it says that no longer will those sins carry over to the son. So, you know, I'm wondering, I mean, it sounds contradictory to me, you know. It sounds contradictory to me. But that was one of the questions. But now they have an excuse. They have a rationale. Oh, it was foretold in the Bible. It was prophesied that we would sail away and we'd be here for 400 years. And see, I have a problem with that too. The 400 years thing. It irritates me to no end when somebody says that we've been enslaved for 400 years. That there's a transatlantic, that it lasted for 400 years. Slavery, in the firm sense of the word, slavery did not last 400 years. Did not last 400 years. And this is what they pontificate. People say this over and over again. 400 years, 400 years. Like, even their own little book of Deuteronomy doesn't say 400 years. Because it wasn't in there at all, ever. But they say 400 years. The American slave trade and the transatlantic slave trade did not last for 400 years. Slavery in America, nor did slavery in the Americas. The enslavement of the African in America did not last 400 years. The slavery, the trans-Sahara slavery, lasted longer than 400, longer than the American slavery. And they said, well, the slavery was also during the time frame with civil rights and all that kind of stuff. Even if you add that, we still ain't got the 400 years yet. Which is why they're trying to use economic slavery and police brutality slavery, all these kinds of other forms in order to get to that 400 years. But it gives them us an excuse. It gives an excuse for a black man to say in America, well, the reason why I'm here in America, the reason why we had to deal with all this and our ancestors had to deal with all this because the Bible says so. And since they're already giving me a different translation from the book that I already grew up on, then it's easy for me to accept that, you know, without doing math, right? Without doing math, right? So, you hear this. You hear all these stories, and that's why they do it. And I'm answer some of these questions as they go. They talk about who said 400 years in America. The guys who was out on the streets in New Orleans were saying 400 years in America. I've heard them on video saying 400 years in America. I've heard many different people talking about 400 years in America. Hebrew Israelites and not. You say 400 years was in Egypt. Well, there is absolutely no proof of Israelite slavery in Egypt other than what's in the Pentateuch. Beyond that, there is no proof of slavery, of the enslavement of Israelites. Matter of fact, Israelites was first mentioned The word Israelite was first mentioned by Akhenaten. Imhotep. By Imhotep, around 1200 BCE. But he talked about how they utterly destroyed Israel and the Hebrews. He talked about that. He didn't talk about 400 years of slavery. So there's nothing. There's no Egyptian wall that shows 400 years of slavery in Egypt. It's only in the It's only written in your Pentateuch. And I've been to Egypt plenty of times, bro. So saying prove it. You can't even prove your book. You can't even prove your book is true. Let me tell you what the Bible is. Let me go ahead and satisfy this issue. The Bible is not a true account of history. It's a true account of people's opinions during that time frame that it was written. That's all it is. It's what people thought during that time frame. You can hold up a Bible all day long, but at the same time you hold up a Bible and say this is true, I can hold up Homer's Iliad and Odyssey and say this is true, that there were sirens singing on a rock and men crashed their ships against it. I can hold up the Iliad and Odyssey. It was written a long time ago. I can hold up the Sumerian text. I can hold up the Sumerian text and talk about Enki and Enlil. And I can talk about Ninharsag and Elnana in the same way that you can talk about it. I can talk about Gilgamesh. I can talk about the Atrahasis. You can talk about those same things and say it's true because somebody wrote it 2,000, 8,000 years ago. Hell, somebody wrote bullshit stories 2,000. Romeo and Juliet was written a long time ago. Does that make it true? Just because somebody said that I'm writing this and it's inspired by God, y'all foolishly believe that it's true because of that. Are you serious? And then when you talk about things like prophecy, the I Ching, all those prophecies are coming true. Nostradamus' prophecies are coming true. All those other people, prophecies are coming true. So is the I Ching a book of God? Was Nostradamus divinely inspired by God? Because he wrote some things and you can extrapolate what he wrote. No, you can't. I can prophesy something. Let me tell you something. Okay, I got a prophecy. The American economy is going to have another downfall in the housing market in 2022. God just told me that. Praise be. God just told me. Or I can just look at history and I know that how economies rise and fall. I can look at history and see how countries rise and fall. I can look at all these things and see how all these things rise and fall. The white man has been in power around the world today, but I guarantee you within the next 200 to 300 years, the white man won't be in power no more. I can guarantee you. Somebody's going to be watching this video and say, you know what? Coach Renz prophesied that the white man weren't, that first the Asian man was going to come back into power, and right behind the Asian man was going to be the blacks in Africa were going to come back in power. I don't need God to tell me that. I can prophesy that easily by looking at the world economies and the directions that they're going right now. That's all you need to do. So people have done that for a long time. It is not that hard. I can tell you wars and rumors of wars. When have we not had wars? We always had wars. Somebody's going to be oppressed at all times. So anyway, beyond that, let's get back. I find it laughable when some of these people come up here and all they got to say is prove it. You can't even prove your own book, bro. You can't even prove that book. There's so many things beyond that. If y'all compare when a Christian talks to me about Jesus, I tell them read the annals of Titus, read the writings of Josephus ben Matthias. And if you go read those and then you come back and you still want to believe that story, because then you just did it because you chose to. When I like when they say cause you can't, because I don't like hold up a book. Even if I held up a book right now, right? And I let you can't read it right now. That's stupid. See, that's the idiocy of your argument. It doesn't make any sense. But what I'm telling you is to go study these things that I'm telling you. Go read the writings of Eusebius if you really want to understand what happened at the Council of Nicaea. If you really want to understand how Christianity and Christianity started, go read Josephus ben Matthias and the Annals of Titus, and then read your Bible as a companion next to it, and you'll see how it's an extrapolation of what he wrote. If you really want to know where the Pentateuch came from, go and study the Sumerian text, the Babylonian text, and the Canaanite text, and the Egyptian text, and you'll see everything that was written there prior to ever mentioning of a Hebrew or Yah or Yahshua or Yahweh or Jehovah, and you'll see where all those things came from. If you still deny it at that point, then that is your own cognitive dissonance. And I am in no way, shape, or form trying to make you convert you over. I care less about your conversion. What we do here is that we talk to you about what you can go study and what you can learn, and then you make up your own mind. Which leads me to the next point. The thing that brings black men to the Hebrew Israelites is the fact that over these years of conditioning in America, and not just black men, but men, period, people, period, throughout history, the average person has been trained not to think. Not to think. I told you guys about a year or so ago the story of Caesar and one of his officers. That when one of his officers was teaching his slave the trivium, Caesar said that I will kill you. I will send you out to fight the barbarians all by your damn self. Right? Unless you stop teaching this slave the trivium, because the moment you teach a slave the trivium, they will no longer desire to be a slave. This is why knowledge of thinking has always been kept away from people, right? Because the moment you start thinking for yourself, the puppeteers can't control you. So they don't want you to think for yourself. They don't want you to study. They don't want you to have knowledge. Because when you have that knowledge and you put it into play, now you have an understanding. So when they want to pull you, they don't want you to think. They know black men have been trained by conditioning in America to not think, to just go along, try to make it as best as you probably can, as best as you possibly can. But don't think. Let us do the thinking for you, right? Don't read, don't study. Let us do the reading and studying for you. And you ask me what is my plan? Stay tuned and you will hear my plan. Because I don't do my messages and then just walk away because I just want to hear my voice. All right? For those who've been with me for a while, you already kind of know what the plan is coming. And what I'm about to say as far as the plan. So they don't want you to think. They don't want you to do for yourself. They don't want you to grow. Now, I'm sure that there are some of these organizations, some of these groups who are doing things in the community. I'm sure that some of them are, right? I'm quite positive. And don't rush me, King XL. I'll get there when I choose to because you don't control me. But I'm sure some of them are doing some benefits in their community, and I hope that they are. I didn't research them that far because I have no interest in them, but I hope that some of them are doing good in their community other than just standing on the street corner yelling at people. But I'm sure that some of them are probably doing something because, I mean, look at the Black Panthers. Whether you like them or don't like them, they still had feeding programs. They still had educational programs. They still had safety programs. They taught self-defense. They did things in the community. The Nation of Islam still did things in the community. The SCLCUs did things in the community. So that's another attractive thing. But they don't want you to think for yourself, right? Because most of us have been conditioned not to do it, right? This fool said, okay, y'all, I'm sorry. And I don't, you know what? Just because people call me a name, I don't ever mean to call somebody else a name. So this gentleman, King XL, called Thompson, you talk soft like a white man. All right. So as I said in one of my other videos, when I do some of my voices, the fact that you would categorize me as talking soft like a white man as being something of a derogatory thing, and that I will fall for it and become angry or change the way that I speak or anything that I do, is nothing short of you being silly and ignorant, if that's how you would categorize people. Because the fact of the matter is, I speak however I dang well choose to speak. It doesn't mean anything to me. If I want to talk softly, I'll talk softly. If I want to yell, if I want to stand on the corner and do like they do, and the Lord said that I'm stupid as shit and I'm reading this book because this man over here told me to. However y'all want to do it, I care less. But anyway, so they count on people not studying for themselves. They count on you just being enslaved by the mind. So they don't want to teach you nothing, right? And they count on you following the group, and you'll follow the group because you want to be a part of that group. But they're the only ones standing out there. You've heard the Christian standing out there talking, you know, they're pontificating their Christian message, but they've heard that over and over again. But now somebody is coming out here and they're talking something different. They're saying something different. And it's that difference in the vacuum that is allowing for black men to go and join them, for them to go running up there. Now, let me tell you a story that, y'all don't worry about him. Let me tell you a story that we should be telling black men about, that we should be telling our black women about. A story that we should follow and understand. Most of you have seen the documentaries on 1804, the Haitian Revolt. Now, if you understood what happened there, you had the Haitians, they was in there, understood what happened there. You had the Haitians, they was in there, they were enslaved and treated brutally by the Dutch, I believe, the French Dutch. So they're being treated brutally. They decide not to adopt the Christian religion or the Judaic Christian religion that has enslaved them and caused them to lose their mind, to lose themselves. I'll give you that. That Deuteronomy part that says that you will lose yourself and forget who you are, the Hebrew Israelites have forgotten who they are. The black Christian has forgotten who they are. The black Muslim has forgotten who they are. The black Christian has forgotten who they are. The black Muslim has forgotten who they are. Every last one of those organizations that comes out of this Arab part of the world, this Greco-Roman Hellenistic part of the world, has forgotten who they are. You're absolutely right, Hebrew Israelite. They have forgotten who they are. But the Haitians showed what happens when the African remembers who he is. And when the Haitians remembered who they were, they went back to their orishas. They went back to the edification of their ancestors. And when they went and they did that, they overthrew those who enslaved them. Let me tell you what they acquired. Now, many people will say that they acquired their land back. If you believe they were indigenous, they acquired their land back. Fine, take the matter plain understanding of them acquiring their land back. Many will say they acquired their freedom. Yeah, they did. And they've been paying for it ever since. The world's governments have made sure that they have. And were there some internal corruption that has went on in Haiti for a very long time? Yes, it has. They've done damage to themselves with poor leadership as well. But what they gained back on the mental and the spiritual plane is the fact that they got their mind back. They got their ability to think for themselves back. They got their ability to know who they are back, right? They got all that stuff back. And if you want to know where I'm from in Africa, I'm not born and raised in Africa, but my family heritage goes back to the Bantu migration and then into Nigeria and that area, and then came and the Congolese, and then came over here through the Atlantic slave trade. You want to know? I know my family history, bro. So don't even try that one. But anyhow, they knew that. They got that back. They got who they were back. These Hebrew Israelites do not know themselves. They have claimed themselves into a doctrine that was started by the Khazars. The Khazars are the one who gave you the understanding of we are the chosen people. That teaching, that propaganda did not start until the Khazars, which is now called the Zionists. Did not start until those people came up. We are the chosen people. God chose us. And what you have done, what they have done is they have taken that message of being chosen. I'm separate. I'm better than you. I have a superiority over you. They have taken that superiority complex that was placed over them and now are trying to put it over someone else. Now, because of that, it's attractive to a black man who's been oppressed, a black man who's been subjugated, a black man who's been stepped on and stomped on. Now you're telling that black man that no, you specifically are God's chosen. You specifically are the superior race. You specifically are the superior tribe, chosen and separated by God. Though you will reign in heaven. You will be the one that will rise again. I don't see any Hebrew Israelites over there in Israel trying to take the land. I don't see you over there. If you're the Hebrew Israelite, go take the land that you was promised by your father Abraham. Go take it back. But they ain't over there trying to take it back. They over here trying to recruit. Go take it back. But what they did in 1804, even though Haiti hasn't been able to do everything that they should have been able to do since that time frame, which that's part of our program. You know, if you've been watching the videos on our triangle of the Caribbean, America, and Africa, of getting our nations back into order, See, they stuck in the past. I'm moving to the future, right? They got themselves back. They got their right. I'm moving to the future, right? They got themselves back. They got their right to determine their destiny back. Did they have some bad leadership? Yeah, the Haitians did. They had some bad leadership. They had people who tried to take advantage of them. They had a Western. The Haitians did. They had some bad leadership. They had people who tried to take advantage of them. They had a Western. They had that Western conquer all and take all and destroy all mindset. They didn't understand Ubuntu. They didn't get that, right? They forgot that part. They hadn't found that part yet, but they're starting to find it now. All right. Now the thing is that under these traditional religions of Christianity, Islam, Judaism, and Hebrew Israelites, you're still lost. You still don't know who you are. You still don't edify your ancestors. You don't even recognize what they sacrificed for you to even exist. Do you know that if one of your ancestors took one turn to the left or to the right, or decided they was going to jump off the boat, that you wouldn't be here, right? You wouldn't be here. And see, stupid questions like that. Why do you call them Haitians? Because that's what they call themselves. If you know me, if you pay attention, instead of just coming on here trying to ridicule, you'll know that I always say, do not label me, because the moment you label me, you negate me. But because we exist on this matter plane where labels is a way for us to understand each other through the verbal language, that is the only reason why I use these terminologies. Of course, they're all man-made. They're all created. There's no such thing as an African. There's no such thing as a European. There's no such thing as an American or Hebrew or Egyptian or any of those things. We labeled ourselves because of the groupings that we put ourselves in, right? You claim that you're an Israelite. But what is an Israelite? You're talking about something that didn't even exist prior to 1500 BCE. There was no such thing as an Israelite prior to 1500 BCE. You were a Canaanite at that time frame. You worship Baal before that time frame. So don't even come with that. And before Baal, before Asherah, before Baal, you worship El. You worship Enki. You worship Enlil. You worship An. You worship Anu. You worship the Anunnaki. So before you come and stake a claim in one part of history where I'm going to plant my flag, you need to understand that history started before your flag, bro. History started before your flag. And then you ask stupid questions. Why do I use them, but you use them? See, you got to understand. You got to learn how to think. Now I'm going to talk to this brother. I need you to learn how to think. There are facts, and then there is the combination of facts which creates understanding, and from that we get wisdom because we put it into action. When you start your point of history from one point, I'm going to start my history of my generations, my people, from this point at 1200 BCE. You're excluding everything that happened in that same region to their forefathers before 1200 BCE. And the moment you do that, you've already lost because you're cutting out a large part of where you came from. And if you're saying that you started in Mesopotamia, well, you are fooling yourself because there's existence of human occupation in the Absu down in southern Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, 200,000 years prior to any humans being in Mesopotamia. So if your history starts in Mesopotamia, then you are some other kind of hybrid. And just call yourself that. You're a hybrid. Because human civilization began in sub-Saharan Africa. Sub-Saharan. And we don't have to call it Africa. We can call it Kibulan if you want to. We can call it whatever language, because this is America today, but it wasn't America 300 years, 500 years ago. It was something else, right? It wasn't America then. It was something else. Georgia used to go from Savannah all the way across the Mississippi River. But now there's Mississippi and there's Alabama. So what are you going to do? Go to Alabama and tell people, nah, this ain't Alabama, this is Georgia. The moment you label me, you negate me. And the moment you can only think that way, you've already negated yourself, bro. You already negated yourself. And then it's funny, white man science. White man don't have science. Black man don't have science. It's just science. That's all it is. If I tell you, okay, where's something? Because I ain't going to mess up nothing that I like. So if a white man holds up this pen and drops it, calls it gravity, is that white man science? Black man holds this up and drops it. Is it called gravity? Black man science? Or if anybody just held this and drop it and it's gravity, it's just science. Labels are just labels. History is just history. Your book is not history. Your book is people's opinion during a certain time frame of history. Sad. And it's funny. You know what's funny about it? All the science of what he's calling white men. came from them going into Egypt and studying in the schools, mystery schools of Akhenaten, which came from the study in the schools of in the Apsu, which is Southern Sahara Africa. So just like all people came from Sub-Saharan Africa, all knowledge came from Sub-Saharan Africa. But you got to have a mind to think for yourself. And that's what they don't want you to have. And that's what people refuse to have. That's what people refuse to have. Now, if we go back and we look at what the Haitians did, we need to follow that pathway. We need to take the good part out of that. We need to take the part out of what they did. They went back to the edification of their ancestors, the understanding of their ancestors, the knowledge of their ancestors, the unity of their ancestors. And I'm not telling you to go join a religion, but what I'm telling you is to have the understanding of it, get the knowledge base of it. I always tell you, think for yourself. That's all you ever need to do is think for yourself, right? This fool said. I'm not going to talk to him no more because this joker just said Abraham taught the Egyptians. Okay. He said Abraham taught the Egyptians. Abraham, who grew up in the city of Ur, where the Egyptians had existed long before the city of Ur existed. The Egyptian civilization was around 3000 BCE, long before Abraham and the city of Ur was around. And they already had monuments of the Sphinx and the pyramids before then. They already had irrigated the Nile Valley before then. And, sorry. The city of Ur, it was a Sumerian city. Yeah. So Abraham was Sumerian. So he already knew the stories of Enki and Enlil, and he already knew the knowledge of the Anunnaki. So, yeah. Anyhow, oh my gosh. You see what I'm saying, people? This is the problem that we actually have in our community, right? This is the problem we actually have in our community. Dude, just go watch my video on Josephus. Don't even talk to me about Josephus. That's a whole 2 hours by itself. We too busy squabbling over, I'm an Israelite. You don't know your history. You don't know where you're from. Instead of looking at history, not concerned about who wrote it to a certain extent, but more concerned about what's the lessons can we take from it. What's the lesson? What happened to the Haitians when they got their freedom, they forced their freedom, when they took their freedom back, when they took their mind back, when they took their spirit back, when they took their divinity back, when they took their right to determine their destiny back. What is the lesson that we can learn from that? Well, one, they went back to their ancestors and they went back to what they knew from their great-grandparents, not what some dude taught them and beat them with a stick over and a whip and forced them to believe. Not a religion that oppressed them. Not that. They didn't do that. They didn't colorize a religion. I mean, think about it. In the same way that people today say that white people have colorized the Bible and colorized the people of Egypt and colorized the people of Mesopotamia, the Hebrew Israelites are colorizing the Bible itself. Now, they are probably more correct. They are more correct because wasn't nobody back in that area of the world back then white. But they did go through a Hellenistic time frame. They did go through trade. You know, Alexandria was a great city of trade. The reason why Megiddo, which is also called Armageddon, is so it fought over so much because it is a great city of trade for that area, as well as it is also a great place for if you're fighting a war east of that area. That is a great supply line. That's great supply chain management to control the city of Megiddo, which is called Armageddon. So when you read Revelations and they talk about Armageddon, Megiddo, they call it that because that city has had more battles over it, has changed rulership than any other city in recorded history, right? So what can we learn from that as we go forward, not backwards? We can't do nothing about the past. We've been subjugated in this country. Our sons and daughters get murdered in the streets in this country. We go out, people are voting. You got two parties to vote for, and they're just two heads of the same snake. Whether you choose to vote or not is on you. I don't have any problem with you voting. Do what you want to do. But the thing about it is, how do we go forward? Now, as many of you guys know, and this is where we're going to get into it, the first thing that we have to do is I do applaud the Hebrew Israelites for organizing, for creating an environment that attracts people to them. They have done that. The Nation of Islam, they did that in the 60s. The SCLCU did that in the 60s. They created an organization that was attractive to people because people are by nature selfish. They want to have what they want. They want to have stuff for themselves. They want a house. They want a place to live. They want clothes on their back, food in their mouth, money in their pocket. Men want to make their women happy. Women want to make their family better. That's a general idea, just in general, right? But right now, the growth of the Hebrew Israelite grows because they're presenting what could be that if they did it that way. I don't know what they're teaching about economics. I don't know what they're teaching about family to a certain extent, only the subjugation of women. I don't know what they're teaching about buying property. I don't know what they're teaching about Pan-Africanism as far as trade lines and building business. I don't know what they're teaching about that. But what I do know is that as we open this temple of learning, the temple of learning, that's what we will teach. The conscious community is missing one major element in order for it to grow. It simply is not herbalized. I'm drinking an herbal tea. It simply is not organized. It is not organized. It is not marketed in a way that is attractive to people who are feeling disenfranchised. The Bible does have good wisdom in it. I told you guys this many times before. Give a man a fish, he eats for a day. Teach a man to fish, he eats for a lifetime. I love my brother Kevin. I love Kevin. Kevin, that's my brother. If you're watching this, Kevin, got you, bro. Sending you some money tomorrow anyway. But I love you. Kevin just want to feed people. And I understand that, and I respect the fact that he want to feed people. But I got to teach people how to fish. I got to teach people how to do it. And that's what the Temple of Learning is doing. That's what we do. I'm going to fund it myself starting in February. I will fund it. If people are participating or not, the first location will be funded by me in February. I'm currently looking for a location. But I'll fund it. Whether big or small, I will fund it. What we will do is teach economic growth. We will teach how to start with the basics. How to manage your money. How to manage your checkbook. How to develop a budget. How to not spend more than you earn. How to invest your money into other things that's going to bring you a return on your investment. Because we got to teach them how to fish. And if we teach them how to fish, and then from the learning of how to fish, we teach them how to edify their ancestors and truly know who they are as divine spiritual beings. I don't care about some of that other stuff, but because I exist on this physical plane, I got to help my black folks first. Now, does that mean I'm not going to make the mistake? See, this is why we study history. Am I going to make the mistake of Malcolm when Malcolm said he regretted not allowing the little white girl at Harvard to be an assist to him because he was so caught up into black nationalism that he couldn't see that it's really about connecting with the world? And in the society we live in today, in the world is so small. African nations used to be abused by colonistic countries. But some of these African leaders now, like the one in Ghana, the one in Botswana, they are recognizing that, hey, we're going to use you guys to our benefit. And when you overreach, we're going to pump those brakes, right? We're going to pump those brakes. So we're going to do the same thing. We're doing the same thing. This is why I'll be starting in order to fund this program, I'll be starting the Alchemy of Life tour. The Alchemy of Life tour is, that's what you see, the green ones up behind me are actually cities where I will go and visit and teach the financial alchemy program plus meditation program. We'll be teaching those meditation programs and financial programs in order to continuously fund the Temple of Learning. Unlike a church, I'm not going to be looking for you to give donations. To me, because I'm an entrepreneur, I got to give you something for your money. I got to give you something. Even when I do these videos and people super chat it, or they donate in other ways, or they are Patreon, they're on Patreon. To me, it's like if I'm not giving you something back, I don't feel right. Right? It bothers me. All right, Queen T, you know I was just in New Orleans over the weekend, if you caught me at the very beginning of this. And that's where I saw a lot of those Hebrew Israelites in force. I am going to add, I've been looking at these calendars to figure out where I can add a green slide for New Orleans. Where I can add a weekend for New Orleans as well. It's going to be, it's a 3-day weekend. So New Orleans will get added, and there's a couple other cities that I'm going to add as well. DC is already on here. I know if you go to my website, Coach Renz, I already got them listed. I am going to change the one in Miami. I'm going to change the date for Miami. Where the heck did I put DC? That's Dallas, that's Vegas, LA, Chicago, New York, San Francisco. Oh, DC, October. I'm looking at October for DC. I'm looking at October for DC. So it's on my website right now, CoachRenz.com. As far as the different cities and locations, you go to the store and you'll see what they're about. Omaha, I'll probably add St. Louis up here. I think St. Louis or Chicago is probably as close to Omaha as we're going to get. I'm really looking at cities that have a high black, African American, black, whatever you want to call it, concentration. Miami, I'm looking at in March. March is going. I'm looking at Miami in March. We're gonna do Atlanta in February. Of course, I got to start here where I am. I'm gonna do that in February. Dallas will be in April. Well, hell, since I'm doing it, Atlanta in February. Miami in March. I'm gonna change the date of Miami. So if you go on there and you see the Miami one, know that the date will change. Right. Dallas is going to be in April, Las Vegas in May, LA in June, Chicago in July, New York in August, San Francisco in September, DC in October, Houston in November, and Phoenix in December. But there will be some additional cities. Not Miami. What did I just say? New Orleans will be added. St. Louis will probably be added. September, San Francisco. Isn't that right across the bay from Oakland? So, yeah. Come cross the bridge, brother. Cross the bridge. Flint, Michigan. Oh, Detroit. Oh, yeah. I gotta find out where I'm gonna add Detroit and New Orleans. Detroit and New Orleans will get added, and St. Louis will get added. All right. My other company is running. I'm promoting a young lady to manager in January. So don't tell her. Shh, keep it a secret. So she'll be able to run everything at my stores, which will allow me. She's already running everything, and that's going to allow me to be able to do all these other things. But the point is, black men are joining this Hebrew Israelite movement because it gives them a place to grow and go and hopefully grow. I don't agree with their messaging. I don't agree with how they're doing it. I'm not going to force anybody. Just because I study alchemy and I study our ancestors, I'm not going to force you to. You could be agnostic. You could be Gnostic. You could be a Hermeticist. You could be a Wiccan. You could be Christian. I don't care what you are. But if you're down for raising the financial position of black people around the world, if you're down for that, she's watching. She probably is. If you're down for that, then I'm down with you. If you're down for, like Ricky is doing, Ricky Swank, the 100 block dash, if you're down for buying the property within our communities, I welcome you. Africa has opened up for free trade. Haiti has been the first Caribbean country that was added to the African Union. If you're down for that triangle of Pan-Africanism, America, Caribbean and South America up to Africa, for creating that, then we can roll. Right? I'm not going to force you to believe anything. Now, will I teach you about Will we teach you about how to meditate? Is it about a religion? No, it's about how you can center yourself, center your mind, so that you can be your best. We're going to teach you. Will we have classes about African spiritualisms, about history, the history classes concerning Egypt, the Kemetic sciences, concerning as much true knowledge as we can possibly get, because we have to get to a point where we realize somebody wrote all this stuff. No matter what it is, somebody wrote it. But what is the gain we can get from it? What is the gain we can get from it? That's all that really matters. How much can we gain from it? You know, whether Atlantis existed or not, what can we learn from the Emerald Tablets that will increase our ability to not have our kids murdered in the street, for a black man to come home to his black wife with their black children and sit at a table, have dinner and conversate, talk about their day, educate their children on how to be men and women, how to be respectful and considerate of other people, how to live in whatever the society has in the next 50 years. Do y'all realize that society consistently changes? You know, it used to take about 50 to 100 years. It's changing about every 7 years now. About every 7 years it's changing. We need to be at the dinner table having those conversations with our family, with our kids. And if you're in a blended family, you need to be able to blend that family. If you got divorced, we need to be able to work through your divorce situation so that y'all are on team parents. You know, all those kind of things. One True, you're currently studying Kabbalion and the Emerald Tablets. Great, great. I love those two books. Make a huge difference. You know, we don't have anything here. Right, we don't. You're talking about Flint, Michigan. So there's a lot, guys, that we have to, I don't like the Hebrew Israelite message. I don't like the fact that they're taking and colorizing a message and they're contorting it to fit something that just kind of motivates people to just join and keep doing the same thing. You know, it's like faith without works, as far as I'm concerned. It's useless. Because their messaging is really just recruiting. To me, they're like a network marketing company. I'm just trying to recruit. I get 3 people to join the Hebrew Israelites. You go get 3 more, and you get 3 more. Then you're a squad leader, and then you go get 3 more. You get 3 more, and then you're a captain, and you go get 3 more, and you get 3 more, and you get 3 more, and you're a general. You ain't did shit, right? You ain't done nothing, but all you did is get people in there, And I'm pretty sure they're probably paying some dues. They gotta pay for them robes and stuff, and the microphones and all the camera work. So, but what have you done? Oh, I'll take the time. I know it's off topic, but the master student, Papa the master student, said, "Who is the guy who sells the God is good but money is better t-shirts?" That is, oh my gosh, it was right in my head when I saw it first pop up. Passport Global. That is Passport Global. Andre Boyce. I know I'm saying his name wrong, Bryce Boyce, but Passport Global, right? Passport Global. So that shirt is Passport Global. Oh shoot, I messed up. My girl in New Orleans. I forgot to tell y'all that this video is sponsored by. I forgot to tell you who it was sponsored by. Are you watching? Okay, she sells natural hair products. It's called and that's why I needed my laptop to be up. But it was For the Love of You, I believe. I got so caught up into getting ready for this thing that I forgot. I apologize. The Hebrew marketers, the pyramid scheme. Y'all funny. Y'all crack me up because y'all will let me go into my foolishness of how I describe things. Right? We get murdered because we sign on with the trinkets of the corporation. We certainly do. But yeah, I've been working on this tour, this thought process of it for a while now. And even through the midst of a lot of foolishness going on over the last few months, for the love of people, thank you. The love of people here. I was just looking it up and I just found it too. I am so sorry because I meant to say this in the very beginning. So I will do in my next video. I'm going to promote. I will make up for that in the next few videos. Yes, I got way too much going on in my life and in my mind right now to be able to take care of everything. But for all my ladies on here, everybody who watched this, See, this is one of the things that we will and must do. We must. I know a lot of people come up and they say, hey, we're going to support one another's business. We're going to build business together. But then people are so afraid to go out and actually do it, right? The Love of People natural hair care products for sisters. And she will ship it all over the place to you. You know, you just go to the website, okay? theloveofpeople.com. Go to the Love of People. I think I'm saying it right. theloveofpeople.com. And I know I got this thing where my responsibility for people is like so deep that I feel crazy when I don't fulfill my requirements or what I say I'm gonna do. But go to www.theloveofpeople.com. Ladies, go and order this product. Order her product. Because here's the thing. One of the big things about building is we have to support the businesses that some of us already have. And for those who are in business, we have to build those businesses into multi-million-dollar, $100 million, billion-dollar companies, because that is the way that we are able to support the growth of our communities. You see, part of the plan, let me tell you guys part of the plan. I can't tell you all of it on this part, but part of the plan is to build our own bank. But not like the black banks that you see in America today. The black banks you see in America today are just the same as the black banks as any other bank, right? As any other bank. They're the same. You go in there. I went to a black bank 4 years ago and I said, what is the criteria for me to get a business loan? I said, I'm only here because I want to know the criteria. And then I can work my way into that criteria. Their criteria was more stringent than Bank of America. It was more stringent than PNC, which is who I wound up going with. It was more stringent than all these other banks. So I couldn't deal with that black bank. And then I went over to Navy Federal. You know, I was in the Marine Corps. I went to Navy Federal. What are your requirements? Their requirements were half as stringent as, I got $20,000 from Navy Federal, no problem. You know, I only had to get my credit score to a certain level. I only had to have a relationship with them for a certain amount of time. Got there real quick. But the black banks in America are just as stringent. They're taking your money, but they're not putting it in. To me, it's like a church, right? Give me your deposit so I can give it to somebody else. Just like the Freedmen Bank. If you go research the Freedmen Bank, it was a bank for black people after slavery. But all they did was give the loans out to white people. All right? So part of building this is to build a bank in a black country. Not in America. It's going to be in another country. It's going to be an international bank. All right? In one of the other countries, whether it's Haiti, whether it's Botswana, or Nigeria, the Ivory Coast, the Congo, one of these other countries where we open this bank. But the benefits that the bank is going to have towards people is the part that I can't tell you right now. Because if I say it and I tell you, and one of these other, because I spoke to the guy who's going to be the president of the bank. And one of the things he was like, dude, don't you breathe a word of this in public view. Because in public view, if one of these other banks realize what you're talking about, they'll swoop in and do it in a different kind of form or fashion. And next thing you know, all these people will run there. And then you would have lost. So, but we got to build to that. And that's what I'm saying. We got to develop business with one another so we can build to that. I got a 5-year plan for the bank. Queen T, Coach Renz, I went to a credit union. I'm in banking and I've been for years. Let's talk offline. Okay. Just send me an email and we can talk about that. You got my email address. Yeah, but the bank is like they are like a church. They are like a church. Yeah, now, right, it takes $100,000 to start a credit union. And to start an international bank only takes $100,000 as well to start an international regular bank. And you won't be FDIC insured, but I don't really care about the FDIC insurance. We can do our own insurance. We can insure the people's deposits ourselves. We don't necessarily have to reach out for the FDIC to do that because that's just an extension of the Federal Reserve, really, in a sense. But thing about it is this banking plan that I have is a bank for people. It's all there to benefit the people, and that's what we're going to do. We'll build the bank. $100,000 is all it really takes, And she's right. $100,000, whether it's in America, whether it's a credit union, all it takes is $100,000 and we can get it done. Look at how a Navy Federal is growing like a big dog. I remember when Navy Federal, if you weren't on a Navy base, it didn't exist, right? You didn't get to it. And if you weren't in the Marine Corps or the Navy, you couldn't do it. But now they've opened that thing up. So many people can get involved, and they got so many tools to help build your credit. And what we're going to do in the Temple of Learning, in order to build everybody, before we open up our own bank, we're going to use those tools. You see, just like they've used Africa, just like they've used the resources in Africa to build their nations, we're going to use what the things that they already have in place to build the Temple of Learning, as well as build this Pan-Africanism that we're talking about. But not in a way that people just talk about it. Oh, we're going to do it, but then they never do anything. They take your money, they never do anything. We're not doing that. This is why I got to give you something in return. That's why on this tour, it's about going around teaching black people and whomever shows up, because white people show up, we'll take their money and reinvest it into our neighborhoods. How often have they taken our money and reinvested into their neighborhoods? How often do Asian people take our money and reinvest into their neighborhoods? So we should do the same thing. I'm not going to do like Malcolm. I'm going to take the white people's money. I'm going to take the Asian people. I'm going to take whoever money comes in. You want to learn how to build your credit? You want to learn how to build wealth? Come on into the class. You can learn how to do it. You want to learn how to meditate so that you can be in right energy format in order for you to do these things? Come on. I'll teach you how to do it. You know where the money is going? The money is going into building black communities. That's where it's going. The money is going into building Haiti. It's going to go into building Botswana. That's where the money is going to go. We're going to reinvest in countries where we can go and live free and live safe without worrying about the cops shooting us every time. That's where it's going to go. And then we're going to build our own bank. Y'all, I've been salivating over this bank for a while. You have to understand. The moment I learned how banks really work, that thing just been all over me. All over me. Train their people so they won't lose about credit and investing. That's what we'll be teaching on this tour. I'm glad you'll put your money into it. I appreciate that. When I tell you what the benefits of you putting your money into it, when we finally be able to reveal this thing, because I've been having my guy, he's over in Dubai right now doing some research. Man, when people will be foolish not to put their money into it. He said, I have a few mice running around. Here, Coach, you got a few roaches. Let's talk about it. You can keep your mice. You can keep that. Oh, man. Right. And that's what's been attracting people to these organizations. That's why the Hebrew Israelites is growing, because they're presenting that. People are fed up with the churches. Church membership is dwindling. It's going down. They're fed up with the church. They're fed up with the mosque, because they realize they're not getting anything. They're giving their money. They're giving their 10%. But they're not getting anything. One of the things that we'll teach at Temple Learn, if you do want to donate to the organization, don't. But you need to be in the food line the next week. Don't give no money. What are you doing? That's stupid. That's bad investment. You don't invest in us and then you got to get in line to get food. No, man, feed your family first. Feed your family first. I want you to be selfish and unselfish. A term that I like to use when I'm talking to people sometimes is that I'll say, well, I selfishly, unselfishly. Meaning that part of this is for my own, the first part is my own benefit, but then there's the selfless part that follows it after I receive my benefit. Don't give us anything. Don't donate anything if it puts you in a bad way. Don't give more than it. You never harm yourself to help somebody else. Those are some basic lessons and understand. Never help someone else to your own detriment, right? I was very bad at that. I had a very bad habit of doing that. I would help people even when I knew it was going to hurt me. I would go out there and do it. You could call me and be like, oh, I'm about to get my lights turned off. My lights about to get turned off too. But here, let me give you some money. But I can't give you all of it. So now both of us sitting up here with no lights on. All right? That's stupid. Instead of saying that, hey, you know what? I got to pay my light bill. Yours probably going to get turned off. So why don't you come on over here and hang out until you're able to get your lights turned back on? I would hurt myself. So don't stick your neck out for none of these things. When you see this tour going on, Don't say, oh shit, you know what? I'm gonna give Coach. I'm gonna put my, I want to go to the tour. I want to support the tour, and this is my car note. Hell no, you better pay your car note. Don't you come to this thing, Thomas? Man, I paid my car note just to be here. I will slap you, literally. Unless you're a woman, I ain't gonna slap you. I might grab you by the shoulder and shake you a little bit. Nah, just playing. I never harm anybody like that. Well, unless you hurt my family. But it's a joke. Anybody watching this is a joke. But no, don't do that. You don't harm yourself. You wait. So like, let's say the dude, whoever was in Oakland, I'm not coming to San Francisco till September. You go in there and you look at it and you see what the price point is and you say, okay, I want to make sure I'm go. Figure out how you need to do your money so that you're there in September. If you are saying that, you know what, I've never been to Miami and I want to be in Miami in March and I'm going to use that as a vacation. Because here's the thing. If you come to a seminar that's to your benefit like that, you can write that off on your taxes. And if you're in, say, LA and you want to go to Miami, now you can write that whole vacation off. Like if you're there for 5 days, well, I'm here for a conference. Well, you can write the whole thing off, especially if you own a business. And everybody should, at least on paper, own a business. That's one of the things I'm going to teach you guys. On paper, you need to own a business. Because if on paper you own a business and then you show up at this seminar and it's a part of your education for your business, you can write the entire trip off. So you can write off the flights. You can write off the hotel. You can write off the fee to be in the seminar. All your food, you can write that off. You actually can write off clothing. You can. You can write off clothing. Any materials you purchase to be there or use there, you can write those things off. And then just because the seminar is 3 days, but you're there for a week, you can write the whole thing off. And then when you do your incorporation paperwork, if your husband, boyfriend, kids, you want them to come with you, then write them in as board members on your, you're the 70% owner. Your 3 children are 10% owners. You bring them, while y'all there, y'all sit in a hotel or in the Airbnb and you say, let's take minutes for our corporate meeting. You type down some minutes. So how's the company doing? The company's doing pretty good. We're going to head into a new marketing direction. I think we're going to go more on social, and add more advertising. Okay, great. All right, good. Bam. You've taken the corporate minutes. Now the entire trip is a write-off because you had your shareholders meeting while you was down at the seminar. You see how that works? That's how business is done. Now when you file your taxes, you put the corporate part in there. You do that Schedule C, you writing that off. That's a tax deduction. People trying to get a house for a tax deduction. Y'all don't understand. The biggest tax deduction is business. Businesses is the biggest tax deduction. So, you get the whole thing written off. When I go to all these cities, because this is all under the Coach Renz banner, right? Everything is a write-off. Every location is a write-off. Now, do I expect to make money? I sure as hell do. I expect to make way more money. So I actually expect to pay taxes because I'm going to use this money to build the first temple of learning here in Atlanta. I'm going to start that. That's where this fund is. That's where these funds are going. So, but if you're just coming, before you come, or at least before the end of the year, end of 2019, on paper, and I'm going to tell you this again at the seminar, on paper, you need to have a LLC. Okay? On paper. Just on paper. That's all you need. And whoever you bring, this herbal tea is cold now. Whoever you bring need to be board members. Right? They need to be board members. So you can write the entire trip off. See, I know a young lady, she's getting ready, and she's listening. She's probably listening to this, or she's going to listen to this later. She's getting ready to go to Africa. She's getting ready to go to Egypt and Nigeria. She's going to Nigeria, and then she's going to go to Costa Rica. Then she's going to go to Egypt and Nigeria. And I'm like, as soon as you get this paperwork done, all this is going to be a tax deduction. And she's taking 2 other people with her on the Egypt-Nigeria portion. You're going to put them down as board members in your company. You're going to write this whole thing off. The whole thing is a tax deduction. There's no reason you should be paying as much in taxes as you're paying. You got to reduce your tax liability. It's one of the things we're going to teach in Financial Alchemy. How to reduce your tax liability and asset protection. All right? So we're going to be teaching those things. And then we're going to teach you how to restore and build your credit. restore your credit if you have any problems with it, and build it. But you're going to do it right there on site as well. It's not like one of those things I'm going to tell you how to do it and I'm going to give you the booklet and then you go away. No, while you're there, bring your credit report, bring envelopes and stamps because you're going to mail this stuff off, before you leave. Like, I don't like go off and hope you do it. No, you're going to do it. Ain't got time for you. I don't believe in hope. I believe in getting it done. Is there a way we need to get away from the U.S. corporation? You can, but as long as you're here in America, you go ahead and just use it. That's what I'm saying. Use what they got. I mean, they're using it for their benefit. You can use it for yours. Now, let's say, like I know I saw a couple of names on here. I know some of those people on here, they're itching to move to Botswana, right? So those people who are itching to move to Botswana, when they get there, they can change their corporation to be in Botswana. If you guys remember the Templeton Fund, I forgot his name, something Templeton. He moved his company once the American corporate tax got too high and the death tax was high and he knew he was getting older. He moved his company to the Bahamas where the tax was like 18% corporate tax and 2% death tax at the time. So he saved like, I think at the end of the day he had saved like $500 million in taxes by moving his company to the Bahamas. So if you start here in America, that's fine, but then later on you want to move your company over to sorry about that. You want to move your company you can move it to a foreign country and change it. But if you're still doing business in America, then you're going to need to maintain an American corporation because you're going to still have to file taxes in America. Dude, we so far gone from what you talking about. Ain't nobody paying attention to that no more. So Messenger, I don't know if I got permission, but since you put it on one of the videos, I'm going to say it. Messenger 2102. I think she said she's 101 years old. 101 years old. Blessings to our elders. 101 years old. That's amazing. And she on YouTube like a big dog. But if you go to the website coachrenz.com, they're all listed there in the store. And I'll do a better job of having them on the homepage as well. But they're all listed there in the store, the different cities. The Miami dates are going to change. I just had a change in my dates for Miami. So the Miami dates are going to change. I just got to re-look at this calendar today or tomorrow. Well, probably tomorrow. And because it's 10:46. To change it, to look at changing it. Okay, I shall improve. Dude, go look at my video on Josephus. I break down the whole thing about Josephus and the one on the origins of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Break the whole thing again there as well. And dude, I got like 800 videos. Go watch the videos. And Abraham taught them math and much more. Oh. Am I coming to Dallas, Miss Hill? Yes, Dallas is April. And let me tell you something. I keep on hitting this thing. Sorry about the YouTube people. I mean Facebook people. I keep hitting the thing. I will have New Orleans included. I'll figure out a date for New Orleans within the next day or so, and I'll publicize that. When I come to Dallas, what's that thing they had? What's the corn? What's the corn with the stuff all over it? Elotes. Gotta get me some. Man, last time I was in Dallas, I went and got some elotes. That stuff was good. I would have never put that together. It's like some smoked corn. Yeah, some smoked corn with some mayo and butter and cheese blend and some pepper. And it was crazy. But I was tripping. On that one. I would have never eaten that if I hadn't been induced to do so. But yeah, so Dallas is in April. And actually, I was going to contact you, Miss Hill, about that because I always need some boots on the ground. So you and Maurice and another young lady, Vicky, I'll be contacting y'all. Actually, if you're in any of these cities, I will, and you're on here and you let me know you're in these cities. Um, like I said, it's all about teamwork. I don't know your city. I don't know where the best location, the ease of travel for most of these cities. I'm doing research on them right now. That's why you don't see a location depicted already in most of the cities because I'm establishing the locations as to where we're going to be and where we're going to meet. Because the eventuality is to have a temple of learning in each one of these cities so that that way there's local people doing the work as far as still teaching that are teaching the financial programs, teaching the meditation programs, teaching other spiritual programs as well as business programs, building business plans, entrepreneurship that are teaching these things, as well as the organization itself buying property. I went to about half the bigger black churches in Atlanta, and I was like showing them how a plan where they can buy plazas and buy homes and churches. I mean, buy homes and buy buildings, and then set up their own credit union and loan their congregates money to open up buy the houses, but also to have job training, help people start business, hire people from within their congregation to then work these businesses and be the employees as well as the business owner. Just keep circulating their money within their own congregation. None of them wanted to do it, but the Temple of Learning is going to do it. We're going to do it. We're going to buy property. We're going to buy tons of property. We're going to start with homes and then buy plazas. And like I said, we can't depend on other people to fund this. We can't depend on people to donate to this. We got to fund this ourselves. I'm not looking for a bunch of grants and all that kind of thing. I'm not even looking to form a 501c3. It's like straight up for profit. All right. That way we don't have any limitations. We can grow as big as we want to grow. Right. And then we're going to help people who want to go to the Caribbean and build business and establish the same systems there, and go to the continent and establish business and establish systems over there as well. I see this as something way bigger than just creating a new religion for black people to follow so that they can come on and be trolls. I'm doing a video tomorrow about why people troll. Why people troll. And, somebody wrote something yesterday and it just sparked my brain on that one. So I'm just working out a few kinks on why people troll. But we are not trollers. We don't come on somebody's video and keep on pontificating about a book that has no historical backing, that is easily proven to be false, to be just something that somebody wrote of their opinion during that time frame. I mean, I can write some stuff today and be like, God told me, but who cares? And what is the economic plan? How do we do what the Haitians started in 1804 and then, but do things better? When I look at the country like Botswana, they gained their freedom, they gained their liberty from the British rule 50 plus years ago. They have had one of the most stable governments since that time frame. Their leadership has consistently and continuously uplifted their people. They have went from a literacy that was, I believe, like 6% in the 1970s up to 76% literacy. No, there was 12% and they went up to 76%. I believe that's what it is. In that time frame, they have consistently invested in their people and in their country. Now, I do think they went a little heavy into some of the basic things, engineering, IT, medicine, instead of looking at how to truly nation build. But they've done a wonderful job at maintaining one of the most least corrupt governments. That's the kind of place we need to be investing our money into, so that when we're investing in a place like that, their next door neighbor, Congo, says that, hey, we want some of that too. We see the way they're growing. We see the way that their people are developing. We want some of that. And they start eliminating some of that corruption that's going on there. Nigeria starts eliminating some of their corruption. We get these countries. The president of Ghana, in his efforts to unify the African continent, the sub-Saharan African continent. Those are the kind of people we should be backing, that our money should be flowing towards. We should flow our money here in America, and then as it rotates out of America, it rotates there. It goes to Haiti. It goes over. We need to change the fuel source for the Haitians so they stop tearing down all their trees. Give them an alternative fuel source. Then regrow the land. Do you know that Haiti used to be the most productive? It was the jewel of the Caribbean. It produced more sugar than any other place. It had more money, more profit was coming out of Haiti than any other place, right? So since they've killed the land. We can revitalize that land. We can rotate first, but we got to get them to stop killing the land first by giving them alternative fuel source. Then after we give them that, build industry so that people have other ways of creating their income. Then as they do that, then replant the land, refertilize the land by allowing alfalfa to grow and then die, so they refertilize the land, run through 2 or 3 cycles of that, and then start planting crops that can make it a crop king again. So it rebuilds that nation so that they're not being treated foul by the Dominicans who are next door, and they're not trying to go over there and get in the last moment to trade with them. So we can do this. And then there are other Caribbean nations that, just like these black men are following and running into the Hebrew Israelite religion, because a lot of them are doing it just because other black guys are doing it. There's a number, large quantities of people are doing it. And you know how humans are. If 5, 6, 7, 8 people go stand in a line somewhere, Oprah did this at one of her shows. She had people who went and stood in line by a door. She had like 5, 6 people standing in line by a door. They waited about 10 minutes. 20 other people got in this line, right? I don't know if it's 20, I'm just saying a number. But a whole bunch of other people went and got in this line. They went up and started asking people, why'd you get in the line? Oh, well, we saw other people in the line. People are sheep. They will follow like that, right? So we build Haiti. We start building communities in America. We start building over in the continent. Other countries will want that same thing. They will want that better housing, better clothing, better food. They'll want that. And they will follow suit. They will join in. I'm not talking about a 5-year plan here, guys. I'm talking about a 100-year plan, a 300-year plan. You know China has a 200-year plan, right? It used to be a 100-year plan. Now they got a 200-year plan. We got to have a long-term plan. You know how much of China's plan involved Africa? A lot of it. That's why they're so heavily invested over there right now. But we got to invest in there. We got to get in there, and we can. And that's one of the things that made the Hebrew Israelite appealing to a lot of black men. They look like they have a plan in a time frame where there are no plans. What is the plan of the church? What is the plan of the Democrats? They don't have a plan for black people. Keep giving me your vote. Keep giving me your money. I'm going to keep giving you your slums and your police brutality. That's their plan. Okay, let's see. Let me know. My family will have an Airbnb working on now. Oh, you talking about down in New Orleans? Actually, that's funny. I'm getting ready to go shopping tomorrow because I'm converting a place into an Airbnb myself here in Atlanta. And I love Airbnbs. Oh, you was kidding. You playing my emotion that you're not 100 years old. I was so excited that you was 100 years old. Now I feel some kind of way about that. We're going to have a little talk, young lady. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Tyler, appreciate it. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Yeah, I'm done engaging in people with negative interactions. I don't have time for that. Ronald, people are productive in their past. Some of them recognize and move on. Some don't. Yeah, that's true. Miss Hill learn Mandarin. My youngest daughter, which I only have 2, she taught herself to speak Japanese. Taught to speak and write and read Japanese. So, yeah, you can. You should. But yeah, building different ways of setting up Airbnbs
90 seconds.
is a way for us to continue to develop as well. Now, if anybody's listening to this on the Blog Talk Radio, we are about, that one's going to close out in 90 seconds. So I appreciate you on Blog Talk Radio. And for guys who didn't know, I started also broadcasting these every Tuesday on Blog Talk Radio. That way you can download them into your iPad, your phone, whatever, and listen to them in the car if you're unable to do YouTube at work, or you can just have it at work. So that's the 60 seconds, the countdown you're getting there. So on the Blog Talk Radio, I appreciate any and everybody who's over there. Well, I appreciate everybody who's over there. I shouldn't say any and everybody, because there are some people over there. I appreciate you guys. We'll get better at that one. I am looking forward to going to have an herbalist on, talk about women's health, women's womb health, and women's vaginal health. Coming up real soon. She is amazing. I saw her speak at a herbalist convention about a month or so ago. So we're going to have her on here. If you want to start getting information on her, that's Mystic Mama. She's going to be on real soon. We just have to get our schedules in alignment. Again, the love of people, black natural hair care products. If your hair is natural, that's where I want you to go. Go to the love of people and get your hair care products. They will ship them to you. Sister in New Orleans. So, and I was actually going to call her while I was in New Orleans. See, but I had to run back to Georgia in a hurry. So I thank everybody on the Blog Talk Radio. I'm going to go ahead and end that call. In that one. And we're getting ready to close down here, period. Because it's 11 o'clock and I got some other work to do. Let's see, we're going to get one last minute for... the church plan is to take your money. Yeah, you're right about that. That is the plan of the church, to take your money. Take your money. It's selling what they've been sold. I used to get mad at the church, right? Andre, you can go back to some people that ask about your shirts. Andre is the guy. If Papa, if you see this guy who just said something, Andre Boyce, he's the one who has the shirts that I had on. That God is good, but money is better, from Passport Global. That's the gentleman right there. So we're going to support his business as well. But this one is about for the love of people. Got to talk about the love of people. All natural black hair products for women. We got to go there. So go to her site, theloveofpeople.com, and order some products. Now, if not for yourself, order it for your family members. All right? There you go, Passport Global. And Queen T, put your website on there. Type that in real quick on your website. Because it's about building one another, guys. That's what we do. That's how we do this. That's how we build this nation. I told you guys I participated in nation building in a couple of European countries when I was in the Marine Corps. It doesn't serve me well if I don't use those same things to help build black people here in America, build in the Caribbean, as well as building ultimately in the continent. Nobody is going to respect us as a people until we build our economic power. Voting power, the only reason the LGBT community has voting power is because they have financial power. You understand? They have financial power, which is why they have voting power, which is why they pander to them. The Jewish community is very small, but they have financial power. The European Jewish community, they have financial power. That's why they get attention. The Spanish community, the Latin community is growing in financial power. That's why America pays attention to them. So we got to stop begging. Stop hoping and praying. That's why the church plan is to take your money. And I'm not mad at them, because that's what they've been taught to do. They've been taught that. Ever since slavery, our ancestors who endured this horrific American style of slavery, this chattel slavery, which is acceptable in the Bible. The only reason they was always taught that if they're a good little slave, they'll get theirs in heaven. Good little slave, just do the work. Serve your masters as you would serve Jesus, whether they are good or bad. And then your reward will be in heaven. The church is telling you the same thing, just not using that exact same terminology. Pay them tithes. Love the Lord God. Believe on Jesus, that you can accomplish all things through Jesus, that He's going to bring down a miracle, but pay them tithes and you'll get your reward in heaven. It's the same message. Where has it gotten us? Did manifest destiny? White people didn't sit around and say that, oh, let's just sit here in these 13 colonies and God will give us the land. No. They did manifest destiny. They went out there and said, it is our God-given right as Americans to go out here and we're going to take that land from them savages, them heathens who don't know the Lord. We're going to go and take that land, because it is our destiny as the children of God to go do it. And that's exactly what they did. Some of y'all just had Thanksgiving dinner. I saw y'all. I saw the ones of y'all that's on my Facebook. I saw y'all having y'all Thanksgiving dinner. They came over. Some of them respected the native people, but others said, these heathens, they don't know our Jesus. And since they don't know our Jesus, we gotta kill them. We gotta massacre all their asses because they don't know our Jesus. Jesus is love, so let's kill them. Oh, they put down their weapons? Oh, in the name of God and Jesus, let's kill them some more. Let's give them smallpox and all other kinds of diseases and wipe out their whole communities. Genocide. We got to do for ourselves. The church message is for you to sit around and wait for some dude in the sky to come and do something for you. Hell to the no. Hell no. We can't do that. We can't do that. I went to the damn casino for Thanksgiving. Actually, I worked Thanksgiving Day, on that day. But Indigenous People Day. But I went to the casino and won $480. Should have won more, but yeah. Right, so we spend our money with each other. Yeah, and we're not waiting on the Lord to do nothing. We have to go and do this ourselves. That's the beauty of the teaching of 1804. They said, we ain't waiting on nobody to come and rescue us out of this slavery. We're going to kill all these white people. Now, I'm not saying for y'all to do like they say and go out and kill all the white people. That is not what I'm saying. So anybody watching this video and say, oh, he's saying kill the white people. No, I'm not saying go kill the white people. What I'm saying is take control of our financial communities. Take control of our own personal finances. Then after our own personal finances, utilize the system that's in place to build wealth. Too many people want to go outside the system without having any power outside the system. People asked me about that whole voting time frame when they were saying conscious people shouldn't vote. We don't control, unless you have a method of controlling the electoral college, your vote really doesn't matter, but your vote is supposed to matter. I mean, a full 16% of the people in the electoral college went against what their voters said they wanted them to do. But our ancestors did fight and die for that right. So I'm not going to chastise anybody for voting. But what I am going to say is that your voting is wasteful and useless. You're voting for two parties that don't give two shits about you. So until you build a financial base where you can influence them through lobbyist format, then we don't have any power. So I would say we have to build business and build community first. And once we build business and community and force the politician to do what we say at the local level, then we can start having power. Then your vote will matter, because then it's like, hey, look here. You want to be my city council member? This is what you got to do for me and our community. Oh, you ain't did it? You ain't got this job next year or the next voting election. That's when your vote matters. You get big enough, you control the country like Haiti. Oh, you don't want to make good trade agreements for this country? Oh, we know how to get rid of you. That's when your vote matters. But you got to have a financial base in order for that to happen. That's what we build. That's the angle that got Martin and Malcolm killed. Right? That's the part that got Martin and Malcolm killed. Which is why you don't see other black nationalist organizations today. It also got Huey put in jail. Huey went to jail, and oh gosh, the other brother falls out of my head right now. And they killed the other brother. But that is why you don't see brothers saying that no more. Because they scared of death, or they're scared of jail. I can care less about either one. All right. So let's not be that way. We can build. We can deal. And the beauty of the internet, I'm saying all that. I say it for my own protection as well. You damn right. We're gonna build. We're gonna build our own economy, our own places. And they try to kill brothers like me. They try to discredit brothers like me. And they try to do it from the inside, and they try to do it from the outside. But at least we can get it documented so that people know that you don't have to be afraid. Right? Because y'all know, my son graduates high school this year. I ain't got to be here. But yep. Change the day to Ancestor Day. I like that. All right, they're investing in the afterlife, not in the here and now. And that's what we got to invest in the here and now, because that's how we change things. We can't change the past. We can only change today. Right? Yeah, and I don't like that electoral college. Yeah, it really needs to be done away with. I really, for me, I went and voted for things that were happening in my local community. Are they going to give a tax benefit to new industries that's trying to come into a community? I was concerned about the governorship in Atlanta, in Georgia, because Atlanta has grown tremendously because of the film industry. But this new dude want to hurt that, and that film industry has been hiring and employing a lot of black people here in Atlanta. Why they don't ask God for some? Because they know God ain't going to give them no money, but they know the humans will. Yeah. Now, I did a video about Black Wall Street once before. This live started at 9 o'clock. Almost on time. I was like a few minutes late because one laptop wasn't working right. Because I wanted to have the blog on one Reddit, Facebook on another one, and YouTube right there. But I got the blog and the Facebook on the same one. But I don't like that. I like to see everything in motion. But Black Wall Street. I'm just going to reiterate this real quick about Black Wall Street. And then I'm gone for real. It's 11/11. Just in case y'all didn't know, it's 11/11. The beginning of a new journey. Angelic number of beginning of a new journey. Black Wall Street. We got to learn the lesson from that and move away from it. Right? We got to realize that the world is big now. The world is huge. Right? We got to make money and take money from everybody and everywhere. The same way they come in our communities and build, we go in their communities and build. It's about building. You put your business in the best place that it can grow. Don't put it in a black neighborhood simply just to be in a black neighborhood and then you suffer. Right? You got to put it in the best place it'll grow, because the black mentality is not there to support a Black Wall Street. The reason why the black mentality is not there to support a Black Wall Street is because Black Wall Street was forced upon black people. During that time frame from the 1920s on up, black people couldn't shop nowhere else. They were limited when they could go to the white stores, or what white stores they can go to and how they had to shop. And in some places they could not go at all. So they had no choice but to shop with themselves. You see, when choice is taken out of the equation, it looks good. But then, of course, yes, the white people got jealous of the amount of money. They didn't realize the spending potential of black people back then, right? They were too busy caught up in race. They didn't realize that money circulates. It's a currency. It moves. But black people were forced to shop with their own grocery stores, forced to go to their own seamstress. Because what white seamstress want to work on black people clothing, knowing this material has touched black people? They didn't want to work with black people. They didn't want to deal with black people. So black people built their own businesses, their own communities. They had to. It wasn't a choice. You didn't have a choice but to go shop there. Now, what happened after civil rights? All of a sudden, now you got choice. And when black people got choice, they believed that white is better. They moved out of the black neighborhoods. Because even after they burned down Tulsa and they burned down South Carolina and these other places like that, places like where I grew up in Marietta, Lawrence Street was the Black Wall Street. Lawrence Street and Lemon Street were the Black Wall Streets for Marietta, Georgia, right? But as soon as you can go and live out in Horseshoe Bend and Powder Springs and East Cobb next to the white people, and the white people, the bigger houses, hey, white man, take my money. I'm going to make you take my money. What kind of sense does that make? But they got choice, and so they moved. The lawyers, the doctors, the shopkeepers, they moved because they had choice. So Black Wall Street in a historical format is something that was forced on our people, not a choice. They didn't choose to shop with each other. So now we're talking about trying to convince black people to shop with one another. It's kind of hard because they're used to their big box and their name brand. So what we have to do is beat the competition. We have to beat the competition. We have to win in an open market. That's what we have to do. It's an open market. We got to win. We got to make our brand so damn big and so dang nice that people say, that's where I shop. I shop there. There's a chain of stores that just closed down, 73 locations here in Georgia, at least. Georgia and Virginia, I think, called Follow. It's some kind of low, cheap discount store, right? And this guy, Asian guy, out of California, he owns like 303 of them stores. And he's closing down 76 of them, filing bankruptcies for those states that he's closing down in. He wasn't running around trying to capture the Asian market. He was just trying to capture the market, right? We have to look at it as we're capturing the market. I own a gourmet popcorn and ice cream shop. I'm not trying to capture the black dollar. I'm trying to capture the dollar, period. I'm in a black community right now, but I will expand into a white community. I don't care what community. It's where's the money circulating. I want to go get that money and circulate it back, right? So like one of the things I'm going to teach in these seminars is we got to go for the market. So what's the market? What's the market for your business? How do you identify that market? And then where is the attention for that market right now? How do you get in contact with that market? And then how do you beat your competition? Because that's it. You have to, if you was here earlier, I don't know if you was here earlier, but I talked about the fact that you go to almost any place, there's three major there's only going to be three of something, three of one kind of something. There's only three fast foods in the area. There's only three grocery stores in the area. There's only three drug stores in the area. Unfortunately, we get saturated by things like mechanics, but in most cases, from a certain radius, you're only going to have three liquor stores. You're only going to have three of certain things. They've captured that market. How do you come in and beat them? If there's a fourth one, that fourth one is either losing or is beating the crap out of somebody else. How do you come in and beat them? You got to beat them. Andre has Passport Global, his clothing line. He got to beat the other clothing line companies, right? You got to win. Right? Now you may win in the black community first, but then you got to win in other communities. For the Love of People, she does natural hair care products. Now that is geared towards black people, but for all the other companies that have natural hair products, some of them are not black, they're white, or they're Asian. She got to beat them in the open market. Beat them. How does your labels look? How is your shipping? What is your customer service? What makes your product better? What is your marketing? How do you speak to your clients? How are you speaking to clients? How are women finding out about hair care products? Is she on YouTube doing demonstrations every week, at least once a week, shooting a video, showing demonstrations of her hair care product and talking about it, how well it works and what it do for you? Are you doing before and after photos with people for your hair care product? Are you doing those kinds of things? Are you attending the different shows and doing the competition shows for natural hair? Are you doing the natural hair care shows? But are you on Instagram posting about natural hair, the health and the upkeep of it on a constant basis? Are you doing those kind of things? Because you got to win. Because we're in an era where the market don't give two shits about if you black, you white, you green, you purple. The market just cares about, is it convenient and does it work? And how is it going to make my life better? That's what the market cares about. And we have to get into that mindset. Because that's how we win. We win in America. We win in Haiti. We win in Africa. And now we're teaching our children and the next generation, the next generation, that you can do business in Africa. You can do business in the Caribbean. You can do business. You can influence governments. You can influence local governments. And then that's when we say we can influence the police. You ain't going to look at us like that because we control you and what you do. You report to us every community meeting as to what you're doing to police our neighborhoods better, how safe our neighborhood is. You coming to our meeting, police sergeant, and you giving us the breakdown, right? So that's how we do it. All right. So Queen T has the YouTube. She's on doing the Instagram. Went to China. Good. That's what's up. Yep. So, all right, guys, we're gonna shut this down because I got some work to do for the next 4 hours. It'll be about 2 in the morning by the time I'm done. So for all you guys who are on the East Coast, you're going to go sleep. Hey, to that brother, I think it was a guy, he was in South Africa who tuned in and said it was 4 something in the morning in South Africa. probably on your way to work right now. But I appreciate you for tuning in. I did notice that the on the blog talk, most of the audience is in South Africa. I think that's so interesting. Most of the blog talk audience is in South Africa. So I had my last sip of my little cold herbal tea now. So y'all have a great day. I appreciate everybody for being here. I appreciate all the love and consideration that you guys give me for even taking this time with me. So y'all have a great night. And remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Y'all have a great, great, great evening. And join the tour. I can't wait to see you guys there. Now I just don't know how to turn this off.